All right, our final game for this edition of the show, Tennessee, Kentucky. We've got Tennessee 9.5-point road favorites, 54.5 the total. Arizona. What do we get from Tennessee? Tough loss to Alabama. We'll see if they can bounce back from that. Joey Aguilar. How about the fact that 20 points by far low for Tennessee? So that's why you got to give that Alabama defense a lot of credit. They're 0-2, by the way, against the spread now on the road. Tennessee this year. Mississippi State road game. They escaped with an overtime win, but did not cover. And then, of course, the straight up in ATS lost to Alabama. So on the road, this team is 0-2 ATS. And, Kentucky, that was a big step forward off the bye week. The defense really made life miserable for Arch Manning in Texas. And if not for all kinds of mistakes and miscues and failing to finish drives, Kentucky should have won that game against Texas. They almost doubled Texas in time of possession. Now, Cutter Boley is still a work in progress. I'm not saying he's a great quarterback, but when your other option's Calzada, you might as well just stick with Cutter Boley here, because I don't think there's much of a difference here when it's all said and done. Now, Tennessee has owned Kentucky. So that's my one hesitation here, and including four straight
There's been some tight ones, though, in Kentucky. Yeah. But, yeah, right, they beat him. Yeah.
You're right about the close games in Kentucky. That's a great point, because the last four games here in Lexington between these in-state rivals were 29-26 Kentucky, 17-13 Tennessee, 45-42 Tennessee, and 33-27 Tennessee. So they haven't won by this margin, Tennessee, at Kentucky in a very long time. So, early in the week, I do lean to Kentucky here. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, shout out to our guy, Gorky, the $5 dono. Shout out to my guy here. He's got Texas A&M, Alabama, Utah, Western Kentucky team total, 20 over 25.5 at even money, and BYU riding BYU money line plus 105. Shout out to our guy.
Appreciate it, Gorky. Good luck.
Yep. Hell yeah! Shout out to the Goracle there. Yeah, Kentucky 3 straight losses. I'm wondering too. They played that game tight as well. Like, could this have been over 10? I'd like that in this game. But it's not. We have 9.5. I was hoping for this game at 10.5. Tennessee losing, of course, not covering, and Kentucky just finding ways to blow it basically this last week versus Texas. So I think they can do enough. This is, of course, a rivalry. You mentioned it, owned by Tennessee, but it always usually is pretty close and pretty tough. And there's something different, this Kentucky team that plays at home. And after 3 straight losses, I think they come to play. I don't think it's pretty easy.
Dogs, ATS, covered against Ole Miss as home dogs.
I had that one.
Texas as home dogs.
And then they get Texas. And I looked at that a bunch, just the flash. But Kentucky had been so bad offensively the 2 or 3 weeks before that. I mean, they were again. But the defense played enough. It's still a good place to play. Kentucky, it's a raucous crowd. They bring it there, their home stadium. So, yeah, I'll lean here to Kentucky. Tennessee, a nice bounce back spot, but I don't know if it's going to be huge. Where they're just going to go and win my 3 touchdowns. And because as good as the offense has been, their defense is leaky. It still has issues. It's just Kentucky, I think, could take advantage of it a little bit, even how bad they are offensively.
Yeah. Right.
Savannah, Yeah,
they are bad, especially against the pass. But I'm starting to look at Tennessee against the run, and it's they can't give up yards on the ground. It'll be interesting to see how it goes here. The pass defense has really been bad for Tennessee. Ty Simpson exploited that last week. Can Cutter Boley do the same? That's the concern. But again, Tennessee has not beaten Kentucky in Kentucky by a margin of 10 or more in a very long time. So that's something you definitely want to factor in here, no doubt.
This is always big too in a game like this. They get like a defensive score or a special teams like that in these type games that you kind of might need. Yeah. That happens kind of crazy in games like this. So look out for that.
Sometimes they find a defensive score or special team score to help them out, even if the offense is kind of lagging behind a little bit. We're not lagging behind because our show's done. We're done for the week. Thank you very much. Great show as always, breaking down the college football card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. FB Gotti, Gorky, Ian Shaver, Markel, Kenny Woo Woo Woo, Andrew G, FB Gotti, Ron Crawford.
Woo.
Thanks for the membership to Ron Crawford as well. Robert Carlson, Jerry Davis, Mark Staszowski, Coffee Breakfast Picks. Actually, you know what? We can stop there because Connor Mack named all the others earlier in the show. So there we go. Great
Shout
stuff.
out to everyone.
All
Keep skating.
Yep.
Everyone, in here. Appreciate it.
Great
all
stuff.
you guys.
We'll be back Wednesday, members only edition of Hitting the Books, and Friday, members only edition of Hitting the Books. 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Sign up and subscribe as a member.
Yes, sign up.
CMAC, anything you want to add before we shut her down?
That's it. Shout out to the members. Wednesdays and Fridays. Shows going forward, at least for now, for a little bit of time until we kind of get going with some college basketball as we get there. But that is it. Everyone in here, shout out, become a member. You talked about shout out to people in the green. Dono, my man Gorky. Have a great week, my guy. I hope you cash big. And that's it. For everyone else, just hit the like button. That's all we ask for. And I'll have the cut up videos out later. Appreciate everybody. Thanks.
Good stuff. Awesome. For Connor Mack, I'm Ian Cameron. Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, members only show. We will see you then. And of course, we'll also see you next Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific for another edition of the College Football Hitting the Books show. Until then, class dismissed.
Peace.